Having a good pad holder is crucial to anybody's training. It's important for you as a fighter, as a student, to not only understand striking, but being a good pad holder so then people will want to train with you. If you can't hold pads very well, you're not going to benefit your partner, which means he's probably not going to want to train with you much. So pad holding is kind of an art in itself, and it's crucial that you become very good at it. Not only to improve your partner, but it's also avoiding injuries. So we're just going to focus on the 4 basic punches with the jab across, the uppercut, and the hook. Focusing more so on those 7 or 8 3-count MMA combinations. So holding pads, first of all, our neutral set. And when there's no punches being thrown, I like to have people hold the pads right up here in the high of their chest. And a couple different reasons. Number one, I know some people, once they have trained a while or they've coached a while, they've held pads for a long time, sometimes they will hold the pads down the side, whether just to keep them relaxed, less stress on their shoulders. We want, especially at the beginning level, have people hold pads up to high of their chest level. Number one, it keeps their hands up as high as we can, without obviously putting them over my face, but up here rather than down here. So we don't want to develop any bad habits with hands being down. Also, certainly at a beginning level, even at an advanced level, by having them here, it's quicker to get them to the target that you're having your partner punch at. So we keep them up here just for a good habit to have those hands up, and also for quickness to get it to the target that you're asking for. Always when you hold for pads, you want to maintain your stance as you would if you were striking or sparring or fighting. Okay? So again, we're getting you into the habit of or habitual techniques and moves and stances, okay? Even when you're just holding the partner or the coach. So it's right here up at a chest level with your good stance with your feet. So to hold for the lead hand jab, we want you to hold the pad up as close to your head as possible, but obviously not too close where it may be unsafe. And so right off here, we like to say it's like it's coming right out of our ear, or right out of our shoulder. Okay, so we're not holding it way out here, way up here, or even down here at the chest level. We want our partner to think that he's punching at my head, no matter if I'm taller or shorter than him. Okay. So from my chest, neutral position, I'm holding it up to right off of my shoulder. Okay. And I'm going to be angling it in. Because the way we throw our combinations, we're crisscrossing when we hit the pads generally. So we hold it right up off of our shoulder, we angle the pad in a little bit, because as he's punching with that jab, he's crisscrossing. And so we want him to square and flush. When we hold the pad up and we angle it in a little bit, when they hit the pad, we give them a little, what we call light high five. And this is important. If you have no resistance when they're punching the pad, it's apt to either 2 things. Your arm's going to go flying, or he's going to overextend on his punch. So it's going to eventually wear my elbow and my shoulder out as it's flailing backwards. Okay? Or if he's overextending on his punches, he's going to hyperextend his elbow, maybe throw out his shoulder, even his back. So we want to give that nice light high five motion, we call light resistance, so preserve our partner and ourselves with those joints, elbow, shoulder, and even back for the puncher. And again, this is about we're the coach and we're trying to protect our partner from injury and to benefit him to help develop his striking. When I hold for the rear hand cross, again I hold it right up over my shoulder, as close to my head as possible. It's really important with these jab and cross, especially, that you hold them as close to your head as possible. So we make the pad holding as real as we possibly can. So again, not holding it way out here or way up here, even down our body. Hold up at head level so we make it as real as possible for our partner. Also, it helps us. As the punches are coming close to our head, especially at a beginning level, it's less likely we will flinch over time. Maybe initially when we're training with somebody we're not too sure about, we're just learning the techniques, this could maybe feel or seem kind of dangerous. But as you sit in these pads, you're seeing the punches coming at relatively close to your face. You might flinch a little bit at first or blink your eyes, but eventually you'll get used to it and it'll feel really common and natural and safe as these punches are coming at you, which will carry over into your sparring and then maybe even into your fighting. So keeping them close to your head. for your partner's development and your own development with your eyes. Okay, so the rear hand cross, again, is right up over your shoulder, angled in, just like with the jab, and you give the person a light high five, a little bit of resistance. And it's something you'll work and feel out with your training partners. If there's too much resistance, the striker has to let you know that, so you're not jamming it up and hurting his shoulder. If there's not enough, again, you have to communicate with your training partner so you can make it as safe as possible and effective as possible to develop your partner. For the hook, this would be the lead high hook. You can extend the pad out. We like to say it's right up off of our ear or even extended straight from our shoulder. Okay? Not down here, that's more of a body shot. Not in too tight, not too loose. So we like to have them start right up over or right in front of the shoulder. You can do a couple things. Sometimes when people hold for the hook, they hold their hand like this. Or you can hold it more vertical. I like it more vertical because there's more stability in my wrist. Okay, but some people hold it like this. Again, I think there's less stability in the wrist. It might not injure it right away, but over time, holding pads day after day, that can wear on your wrist. So for more stability, I like to have our students hold the pad directly straight up as opposed to more horizontal for the hook. So it's right off of your shoulder. Again, holding it more vertical than horizontal. And when you hold for the hook, is this a tight hook? You want to hold it 90 degrees off of your inside your elbow, and depending on who you're training with, but if it's you want to extend it out a little bit more. So it's almost like it's 120 degrees off of your elbow, closer to your training partner. So off of the shoulder, vertical, extend it out a little bit more. And then the same thing here as with the jab and cross. You give them light resistance. For the rear uppercut, and when you're holding pads, depending on if they're left or right-handed and what lead they're in, you want to match their lead as a pad holder. So it stays consistent for you with holding the pads. So if I was coaching or helped to train a left-handed striker or puncher, it would just change. I'd have the jab on this side, the cross over here, the hook here. So all you have to think is you're holding the pad up. If he's throwing a jab, you're holding the pad up that you would jab with. You're holding the pad up that you would throw your cross with. You're holding the hook pad up that you would throw a lead hook with. The rear uppercut, the fourth of our basic punches. We're going to hold it. We want to think at the top of our forehead. What happens here is some people will hold it lower. The target for your uppercut is generally the chin or even the base of the nose. But we don't want to hold it at that target initially. We want to hold it at our forehead. And then we can give that resistance. And by the time we resist it, it will be at that chin level. But if you hold it too low, tendencies for that person throwing the uppercut is to try to get low enough to get that hit the pad, and they'll start to loop their uppercut. And we've talked before about looping that uppercut. Slows down the punch, not as much power, and a good opponent will see that coming. And so we want to keep everything really tight, especially training on pads. You got to train for perfection on the pads. Because as we've talked before, everything loosens up when you even put in the drills, but certainly sparring or fighting. Doesn't matter how long they've been training, how good they look out on the focus mitts. When you have somebody striking back factor, everything loosens up a little bit. So we want to be as perfect as we can on pads, taking into consideration that we're going to loosen up somewhat, a little bit, once we're in a sparring or fighting situation. So with the uppercut, I hold it at the top of my forehead, not down here at my chin level, down the forehead. I extend my arm out so it's closer to him with the tight uppercut. So it's almost like a full extension with my arm. And again, it's a light high five or light resistance down. So you have your stance with your feet, good footwork, pads up here. This is the neutral position. Okay, keeping them up here so you get in the habit of having your hands up, and it's quicker to show them the target you want, as opposed to having them down here. Again, mentioning that some coaches, some guys have been training for a long time, will hold them down here. Okay? But we want to keep them up here. Lead hand jab, again, coming right off of your ear. It's almost like if you looked off the corner of your left eye, if you're in your left lead stance, you could see the back of the focus mitt. So if you can see your forearm, it's too close. If you can't see it, it's too far back. So you should be able to look right out the corner of your eye and see the back of your focus mitt or hitting pad. And then you give them that resistance with the pad angled in. And when you're holding pads, it's almost like you're cupping your hand. So when they're hitting that pad, they're hitting right in the middle of the palm of your hand. And that's a lot of times how you get the good sound effect. You'll hear the snapping of the pad as you're cupping your hands and you're giving him that resistance. If you hear a real dull, kind of thudding sound, that means you're really not on page with your training partner. Because you're either not giving him enough resistance, so he's overextending, or you're jamming him too much where there's like a thud or a real dull sound. If you're hearing snapping on the pads, that means they're ripping it in there and your timing is really good with each other. And that sound effect helps. Right? It helps you, it kind of motivates you and it makes you believe you're hitting hard, and you probably are hitting hard if you're making that sound. Rear hand cross, again, right up off of your shoulder, angled in. You look out the corner of your right eye, you can see the back of your hand or back of the focus mitt, okay? And you're giving that light resistance. The hook will be here. Extend off your shoulder, extend it out a little bit, giving him that resistance. Uppercut, make sure you hold it at the top of your forehead, so you give him resistance, and you don't enable him to loop that punch in there. So lead hand jab, neutral. Rear hand cross, neutral. Lead high hook, back to neutral. Rear uppercut to neutral. Important to be a good pad holder, or else you're going to find that nobody's going to want to train you.